So we said we'd give you updates on how the business is doing as and when we can. Today, so Monday 6th of April, we did one on the way to work just to say, the traffic situation was really quiet and the journey to work was looking really dead. But today we've really struggled with parts delivery. The reason being, obviously, so many less businesses are, so many fewer businesses are open, and so poor parts suppliers are having to lay drivers off, and they've probably cut it right to the bone. Going by what we've had today, you ring up for parts first thing in the morning and they come by dinner time. In fact, that set of parts we went out and collected from them because they couldn't give us a time when they were going to be delivered. We ordered parts late lunchtime, thinking normally half an hour and you get them, and they turned up just before we finished tonight. So parts delivery has definitely suffered, and you can't blame them. You cannot blame them. They're businesses that are dependent on garages buying parts in bulk to a large degree, and buying large amounts of parts, and there just aren't the garages open to do that. So they will have trimmed their delivery service right down. In essence, we were told they'd gone from about 14 vans locally to 2, and then similar in Sheffield, 14 down to 4. So they're gonna suffer. It's gonna be a massive impact on their business, and they've got to cut costs somewhere. And so, if the result is we get parts a little bit slower, well, we'll just have to try and plan what parts we're going to need for next day, and maybe order them a day or so in advance. So that's one way around it. We can do that. The downside is you get a car in for maybe a service, and then you realise actually it wants brakes. You get authorisation from the customer to do the brakes, and then you're sort of reliant on them turning up reasonably quickly. So what we have done in the past is sort of anticipated what we might need, and then ordered on that basis, and then returned what we don't use. So we could go down that route. We generally only do that if we've got a very small window in which we can have the car, because that just creates a bit more of a nightmare for our parts supplier if we're returning lots of parts, and you don't want to upset them because you want a really good service out of them. So we're not blaming the parts suppliers. As we said before, our biggest supplier by a long way, they shut down. So we're into parts suppliers who we don't generally spend a lot of money with, and so we're not going to get the top-notch service out of them, because they're thinking, well, you're not one of our biggest customers. We will turn out to be a bigger customer than we have been, but because of the reduced number of people booking cars in, it's never going to be a massive increase anyway. So we're going to struggle on parts supply, simply because we haven't got a history of using these guys a lot. We have used them for a long time, just not used them a lot. So that's one element. Really quiet on work being booked in today. We had one job booked in, but one job a day is just not enough. We need to be booking at least a day's worth of jobs in every day, and we're nowhere near. Last week, total for the week was around 3 jobs booked. So that's just, not even a day's worth of work. So we are looking at running out of work at some point. As things stand, that'll be sometime next week. We'll run out of work, and that's with dropping down to a 4-day week. There are things we can do. There are ways around doing that. In that, you can try and take on projects and almost create work. But if you take on a project car that needs a lot of work doing in order to try and make a profit on it, ultimately you've got to sell it, and that might be a problem in itself. In that, the last thing people are probably thinking at this moment in time is, go and buy another car. They're not using the one they've got. So that might not be such a wise move. We'll have to see. The other option is to try and diversify somewhat. So a lot of people have taken to cycling. Do we start doing cycle repairs? I don't know. We can do it. It's not an issue to do it, but it might be something we can look at. It might be something we can look at even getting cycles in as projects and doing them up a bit and then selling them. We'll just have to, think on our feet, as it were, and try and get some way of getting an income in order to keep the garage going. I would quite like to get into the cycle scene, actually, just doing bicycles up and then selling them. I think it's nice little project jobs. They'd be quite good. But it's, again, you've got to think, is it something that we'll be able to sell having done it on? So we're just going to have to think along those lines. It might be, the spring is here, people start cutting their grass. Maybe we can do lawnmower servicing. If you were thinking people were going to go on holiday, we could be looking at maybe caravan servicing. But I don't think anybody's going on holiday just yet. So it might be something we look into as to whether that's viable or not. I don't know. But we have to look at the options, and we have to think on our feet, definitely, in order to be able to keep enough work coming through just to keep things turning over and keep it viable as a business. I don't think we're looking at the sort of prospects of making a profit, put it that way. But if we can keep the wolf away from the door and pay the bills, then that will at least be something. In this current climate, we'd just have to be happy with that, really. So that's an update from us, and we'll do another one soon. Thank you very much.